There's something about church halls that makes them feel colder than the rest of the world. Maybe it's the stone underfoot or the echo that follows every word like a stray dog. Or maybe it's the disappointment of 100 eyes fixed on you, narrowing with disbelief and scorn. The fan clacked overhead, its rhythm as relentless as my own heart. My palms, damp, trembling, rested at my sides, and I forced myself to meet the gaze of each auntie, uncle, cousin, and neighbor gathered for what was supposed to be a family announcement, but had quickly turned into a public shaming. Father D'Souza stood rigid at the pulpit. "So, Mark, you wanted to say something?" His smile was thin, making no secret of his doubt. They all knew what I was about to tell them. The whispers had made their way through the lanes of our little suburb in Mumbai. I swallowed. Every tongue in the room stilled, even the children's. "I've decided," I said, my voice hoarse, surprisingly loud. "I won't be applying to engineering colleges next month." Auntie Francis sneered, the silver cross at her throat quivering with each sharp movement. "Then what will you do, huh? Play cricket with the street boys every day?" A ripple of laughter, nervous and mocking. I felt myself shrinking inside my own skin, wishing I could dissolve into the cracks of the cold, grey floor. "No, Auntie," I said, my hands tightening. "I want to be a writer, a novelist." Silence, you could hear the hum of mosquitoes. Then Uncle Trevor burst into a guffaw, a noise so loud and genuine that it actually startled me. Others joined, emboldened by his lead. "You," he said, "don't make me laugh, Mark. Writer, what kind of nonsense is that? Stories are for children, not for making a living." Cousin Alicia nudged her friend, giggling behind her palm. "Mark will write love stories. Maybe he'll write about us, huh? Make us all villains." Father D'Souza rapped the lectern softly. "Enough," but something in his tone said he agreed with them. "Mark, your father worked all his life so you could go to college, a good college. You'll throw that away for a dream." A sharp pain sliced through me, deeper than any slap. Dad sat near the back, face lined and hard, not meeting my eyes. Mum chewed her lip raw. "That told me everything I needed to know." I tried again, desperate now. "I know it's not normal, but I have stories inside me. I can't engineer anything, but I can write. I want to bring our world, our people, to life." Uncle Trevor cut me off. "Bring home bread first, bring your parents respect." "It's not practical, Beta," Mum whispered. "You need to be sensible, stories won't feed you." I felt the heat rising behind my eyes. I stared at them, all these faces that had watched me grow, played football with me in monsoon puddles. But now there was only distance. I felt it deep in bone and marrow. I stood straighter, my heart pounding against my ribs. The words caught in my throat, stubborn and raw. "I will do it, I have to." That final phrase drew their last, brittle laughter. I stood there silent as they shook their heads, voices tumbling over one another with warnings, poverty, shame, wasted potential. They called my dream ridiculous, shameful, selfish. I became the cautionary tale whispered about at dinners and after Sunday service, the boy who would amount to nothing. But as I left that grey, echoing hall, the world outside seemed sharper. The monsoon air clung to my skin, and in the distance a train curved along the tracks, steady and loud. My grief, deep and fresh, mixed with a hard, sudden clarity. If this was what sacrifice meant, then so be it. I walked home alone, their laughter lodged like a splinter in my heart. Years slid by, relentless as Mumbai's traffic. At first, every day felt raw. My parents wouldn't say it directly, but their disappointment sat between us at dinner and echoed through our threadbare home in every sigh. I worked nights at a copy shop in Borivali, stacking glossy flyers and fixing jammed printers for office workers who never looked me in the eye. Days I wrote. Every sunrise I squeezed my life into fitful, urgent pages, stories about my city, my people, the way the sun painted copper streaks over plastic roofs at dusk, the sound of rain against corrugated tin. Publishers weren't interested. The rejection slips became a ritual, thin, folded letters that arrived with the bills and takeout menus. Sometimes the mailman would pause, giving me a look sharp with pity. "Don't give up, Yar," he'd say, patting my back. "Someday the world will see." But within my family and the community, time only hardened their scorn. Relatives began to avoid my parents at weddings. "How's your son?" they'd sneer. "Still writing fairy tales." Every word cut deep, but I wore my pain as armor. I found solace in small moments, the rush of a story falling into place, the steady scratch of my pen, the way Mum sometimes would leave tea beside my door without a word. One evening my father found me hunched over a battered notebook. He didn't come inside. For a moment he lingered, the light pooling around his tired, proud face. Then he left, the weight of his unspoken hope hanging in the air. Desperation breeds clarity. I wrote harder, sharper. I set stories in brick alleys and swaying trains, painted mothers waiting for sons, girls dancing in monsoon rain, old fishermen clinging to gods and memories. And then, after 3 years, a publisher called, a real one in Lakundwala with shelves stacked high with books about places I had never seen. "We'd like to run your manuscript," the editor said, his voice crisp. "It's different, honest. Mumbai needs this." I held the cheap cell phone to my ear, hardly breathing. "Do you mean it?" He laughed. "Of course I mean it. Can you come in tomorrow?" That night I stared at the city from our balcony, the lights blurred by new rain. My knees buckled under the mix of joy and disbelief, and I let myself cry just once. The book came out in July, the wettest season I could remember. Its cover was simple, a city skyline pressed into blue paper, but my name shone, a tiny, bright hope. The reviews trickled in first from small blogs, then papers, a new voice for the city's heart, unflinching, honest, raw. People started reading, and suddenly I found myself standing in front of college students at readings, their faces hungry for story, my story. I never forgot the hall, that cold place humming with judgment and laughter. The memory pushed me, drove me to do more. My book was translated, awarded, other writers reached out. I sold a second and third manuscript. Our life grew easier, first a new refrigerator, then a scooter for Dad. Mum no longer hid her face at weddings, but I never returned to that church, never let myself face them, not until I was invited as a notable alumnus for the parish festival. When the letter arrived, edged in gold and thick with formality, I felt my lungs tighten. 13 years had passed. My hair was longer, streaked with grey, but my voice was stronger, my name known. Mum fussed with my collar as I read the letter aloud. "You'll show them, Beta," she murmured, pressing my hand. "They'll see now." Dad didn't say a word, only nodded once, eyes bright beneath tired lids. That Saturday the sky blazed white. I pulled up outside the church in an Uber, wearing new clothes that still felt like a borrowed skin. The old church bell rang above the courtyard, its sound tangled with the shouts of children. I walked in alone, the hush falling like a curtain. The hall was unchanged, same cracked tiles, same yellowing walls, but the crowd was older. Some faces I recognized immediately, Auntie Francis on the front row, Uncle Trevor beside her, hair thinner now. Father D'Souza stood regal at the side door, a little stooped but still wary. Someone announced my name, Mark Almeida, author. A scatter of applause. I took the mic, hands steady but heart fragile. My eyes swept the crowd. There in the third row, my mother, hands clutching her purse. My father, thin and upright, mouse-tight with pride. I breathed in. That old pain hovered at the edge of memory, but it no longer ruled me. 13 years ago, I began, my voice carrying through the brittle air. I stood right here. Maybe some of you remember. I said something that made everyone laugh. The words echoed, now tinged with power. I wanted to write novels, to make stories, my life's work. Many thought I was foolish. Maybe, I smiled, thin and just a bit sad, I was. People stirred, unsure. There was a tension now, a mix of shame and curiosity. But if I learned one thing, I continued, glancing at Auntie Francis, it's that we carry our dreams like secret fire, and even when others try to stamp it out, we either let it die or we let it shape us. I saw Alicia, older now, hiding a nervous smile. Trevor looking away. The city I love taught me that, no matter how hard the world pulls you down, the right story can make you rise. And I never would have written a single word without every person here, their hope, their doubt, their laughter, even their disbelief. I lifted the book, its cover worn at the edges. It isn't just my story, it's ours. It's the B Ward lanes, the fish markets, the Gam party processions, the long, golden evenings. It's every little victory tucked between heartbreaks. I saw Uncle Trevor lean back, the realization slowly dawning. The people who had mocked me, who had turned my dream into a curse, were finally seeing the truth right here in my hand. The silence changed, thick charged, a collective intake of breath. Father D'Souza approached, hands folded. "On behalf of the parish, we honor you, we judged too soon." Auntie Francis looked at her lap, tears trembling at the edges of her lashes, the same woman who once hissed shame into my ears. Now she rose, tentative, uncertain, and took the microphone. "I am sorry, Mark," she said, her voice small. "We should have believed. We were afraid for you, for your parents. It wasn't right." The grief I had carried all these years melted, replaced by something lighter, not pure forgiveness because wounds leave scars, but a fragile peace. Children rushed forward, holding out copies of books, eager for signatures. I knelt, signing each carefully, hearing their questions. "Did you really meet the actors in your stories? Will you write about us someday?" Later, when the crowd thinned, Uncle Trevor found me near the food stalls. His face was solemn. His handshake rough and real. "You did well, boy, more than all of us ever managed. Tell your father I said so too." I nodded, something quiet shifting inside me. Beside him, Alicia smiled, grown up and kind now. "Can I read your book?" she asked. "Maybe I could learn something." The evening wound down, sunlight softening through dusty glass. I stood outside in the lane, the air smelling of fried puris and old incense, the city wide open and alive. My mother found me slipping her arm through mine. "Home?" she asked. "Yes, home," I said, and as we walked past the old train yard, I heard a voice, my own, strong and sure, echoing in the twilight. I had crossed through fire carrying grief and clarity, but I had come back whole. In the end, all roads led home, even the ones paved with heartbreak, lined with laughter, and lit by the quiet, stubborn flame of a dream made real.